Hello. Um, this is what is this? It is April 3rd, 2024, 4:39 p.m. I got a haircut. It looks bad. It looks like a Karen haircut, but actually, if I tie it, it looks a little bit normal. But I mean, I'm in my room, so I'm not gonna tie it. What was I gonna say? I First thing I want to talk about. Um, I discovered this fruit. I think it's called Logan, Logan. Wait, Logan fruit. Longan fruit. Longan fruit. Yeah. Okay. Which I have right here. I want to show. It's very cool. Um, Basically, my guess is you kind of bite it because it's a hard shell. Like a little juice comes out, and then if you peel it, fuck, I can't. I gotta avoid using my left thumb because I damaged it. Um, okay, and basically it looks like this. Um, so it almost reminds me of like the inside of a grape, or more like what do you call it? Um, lychee, which I really like. Lychee is one of my favorite fruit. So well, one of the top fruits I've ever had that when I was like in middle school, I had my Minecraft name as like Lychee 25 or something. But anyways, so it's a really interesting fruit that it has a little lychee, no, texture, but it's the flavor. I almost want to say it's similar to pear. Mm, it's very sweet. Hmm. Cool seed. I'm almost tempted to plant it, but you know, what do you call it? I'm almost tempted to plant it, but I think to have a plant that could bear this fruit, it has to be a pretty big pot, which I don't have space for. So unfortunate. And I know it's seasonal. I've never seen it. And they were advertising it at what was it called? Asian Oriental or something. Amazing Oriental. So yeah, I really it's really interesting. I got like a big box full of it. So I've been eating that. And I also have mangosteen. I've always wanted to try mangosteen. I still have it in the fridge. So I'm gonna try that later. And then, okay, the other thing I wanted to talk about was, first of all, I got this ergonomic mesh chair. Very nice. Um, it's gonna help my back so much. Cause I always had so much back pain sitting on this like normal chair. Which came with the which came with the which came with the room. And then the other thing is well, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, my future prediction on like the cyberpunk future, right? So I mean, cyberpunk is sci-fi. I don't think a lot of the cyberpunk would come into fruition. It's almost like a exacerbated, commentary on capitalism, and but it's almost romanticized. You know, the aesthetic is so romanticized. It's really cool. But my point was that one of the elements of cyberpunk is body augmentation. And that is definitely coming into reality uh, more sooner than later. I mean, this is my prediction, but I know it's probably right. But then the body augmentation is less about removing biological limbs and, you know, getting like mechanical limbs or mechanical implants. I mean, technically that's already a thing, but it's not as widely used, right? It's not as commercial. It's more for like severe health complications and whatnot. But what would catch really on fire, probably become sort of normalized, is body augmentation on a microscopic level, which doesn't mean like you can't see or it's like on a minute scale, which it can be, but it's just that it's not something so big, such as like cutting off a limb and putting like metallic on. And the micro augmentation would refer, it could be a lot of stuff, but it could refer to, first of all, gene editing, and second of all, nanobots, nanotechnology, or not nanotechnology, but nanobots. I saw this thing about like these bots that are very microscopic, smaller than a cell, in fact, that can that's helical and like can turn to move around. And one way it's being used is it can capture a sperm to facilitate the sperm to fertilize an egg. A human, actually, I don't know if it was human, but that was one way these bots were used. And I feel like that has so much more potential therapeutically, but also it could possibly be used to, you know, facilitate other transports or do other things to manipulate the body, so to speak. And of course, genetic manipulation is becoming more common. I mean, GMO, you know, CRISPR's is already kind of used in crops and whatnot, and there's already someone who's self-testing this augmentation, giving themselves more muscle, which I would argue is already an aesthetic choice rather than a more utility health choice, because a lot of the discourse around genetic manipulation in humans is aesthetic versus, you know, health, right? Because aesthetic seems more controversial, especially if it's germinal manipulation, because that's going to affect your offsprings and basically your whole lineage. But then if it becomes like that commercialized, the other thing you can realize is that germinal editing isn't permanent if you can also edit it again, right? So I just thought about that. I don't know why. That's never really considered. But I mean, yeah, it was just that germinal editing affects others who are not yourself, even if they're your offspring. So it can be a bit more unethical. But the point is that I can see it becoming, you know, a lot more common. The next several years, GMH, genetically modified human. That's probably gonna be a thing. Yeah, it just makes sense. Because the thing about manipulating nature or you know how evolution has been based on natural selection, while our human activity has created a new form of selection, right? Or possibly not even selection, just um, a disruption in natural selection through um, like selection or offspring on not just humans but even plants and animals based on social cultural favors um, um, or simply like modification of crops to yield better results without using like natural selection per se through human selection. And the whole point I'm getting here is that there has been a trend in human activity to twist, not in the wordings sounds negative and not like in a negative sense, but there is a trend for humans to twist evolution to go beyond simply natural selection and through manipulation. And it's only natural, ironically speaking, it's only natural that we, you know, progress this manipulation even more through this step of genetic editing, which is a way more concise way to manipulate organisms, um, despite the, you know, how it sounds. It's way more safer. If you consider like selective breeding, which which can change a lot of genes and can cause unknown effect. Uh, like genetic editing on like a CRISPR scale is way more controlled, so there's less harmful effects, and a lot of uh, genetic diseases, you know, like cystic fibrosis or um, just risk genes and all that, that could be a sort of thing of the past. It just makes sense. The we're just gonna get to it eventually. It's only a matter of time, because it's so beneficial to health. And then through that, um, or co progressively, genetic manipulation for more cultural aesthetic purposes, I think that would be normalized as well to a certain point. Um, I think that would be more on a somatic level. Um, when probably you're like 18 to 21, when you can vote, that's when maybe you'll have the legal choice to manipulate uh, your body as well. Because I mean, like, there's already plastic surgery. And with a controlled, you know, and researched and properly managed somatic genetic editing, it's gonna be probably safer and more permanent than plastic surgery as well. So it really depends. Of course, there's probably gonna be issues such as people intentionally choosing aesthetic over the health risk. I would imagine like increasing breast size might increase the chance of breast cancer. Maybe I'm not 100% sure, but people might do that, you know. And it's gonna be interesting to see the future, and with so much manipulation in genetics, I think like ethnicity is gonna be an interesting point of topic, because um, our appearance and so much that constitute an ethnicity is going to be muddled, because the only thing that really counts for your ethnicity is going to be the lineage, nothing about the looks, which I don't know, like there's some culture, offensive PC culture that might find this like offensive or racist or whatever, but a lot of ethnicity is the identity of ethnicity constitutes a lot of your physical appearance. So with gene editing that could manipulate humans to look less of their ethnicity, race, or even just complete something different that doesn't really categorize them into a specific race or ethnicity, is gonna be is gonna, I think, create some sort of paradigm shift, and just the whole concept of human might even change, maybe, or species, or maybe that's too far. I don't see going into like chromosomal level of editing. That just sounds like unnecessary, too much health risk. But I bet there's like some level of editing that makes you seem less human. But if so many people do that, it's gonna be different, And then the thing about nanobots, I think that's, I would say, more controversial. I don't know, it's kind of an intuition thing, but it just seems like the future. I can see it being, I know it's already used for cancer therapy, but it seems so much better with targeting diseases, right? Because like how, I mean, I was thinking, like, how would pathogens like avoid getting targeted by bots? It seems impossible. I mean, obviously selection would probably produce pathogens that are so unrecognizable by bots that they can get away. But I feel like human technology is advanced enough, more advanced than can be more advanced than what do you call like just our immune cells to find pathogens that maybe it could get around that microevolution of bacteria or pathogens in general. But this isn't really body augmentation, right? I think, well, the idea I was having is that it could be more of a long-term, possibly permanent, but long-term, just housing nanobots in your body, for like immune, like another, like a fourth line of defense almost, or technically it will be like the second line of defense, that helps possibly defend viruses, bacteria, but also can be used in a way to make sure the other lines of defense and your immune system is still active and working well. It could possibly just a new way of better maintaining homeostasis. I just feel like it's gonna be really huge, and all you need is like an injection, and boom, your body's like 100 times more safer. Obviously, it's gonna get a lot of backlash because if the nanobots are being produced by a private company, that's just another aspect of you that's being taken over by, corporation capitalism. I mean, even through government, it's another aspect. You can see it as another aspect of your liberty being removed. But I feel like technically you don't, or at least if you have the choice to choose to have the nanobodies or nanobots or not, I think that could, present itself as a way to maintain our liberty um, or something like that. I mean, what would be really cool would be what was it? Nano machine from Metal Gear Solid. What was it called? Nano machines, nanobots, nanotechnology. I think no, nanotechnology sun or whatever. Where like it blocks any blunt force damage, because the moment you get a blunt, some sort of physical hit on your body, the nanobots congregate into the area to create a metallic, hard protection, so you never get hurt. Um, I don't know about that. That would be really cool, but I don't know. But there could be something health-wise. Even like maybe there could be something that could help heal wounds even quicker. Maybe that could be a thing as well. I really feel like nanobots is also the future. Yeah, it could be. Who knows? Um, that's my take on our cyberpunk slash body augmentation future. Um, and then just the idea that it's micro just makes it, I think, it's more probably micro because it's going to be easier to manipulate. It's going to be way more concise and way more things that could be done to augment one body, whereas, for example, like a metallic limb, that's such a huge taxing thing. You can't have too much, metallic augmentations on you, or that sort of machinery. Micro makes way more sense. So that's probably what's gonna happen. I understand the risk. You kind of surrendering your body, but then I would say it's similar to getting vaccines or eating food for that matter. You're still entrusting the government, corporations, and others for your own health, right? You're putting those stuff in your body without, a complete knowledge. To an extent, like food is a black box. Vaccine is a black box. Like, I don't think COVID vaccines like give you 5G or autism or AIDS or whatever. But when you see the needle, you can't tell that it's really safe for you. You just need to trust the institution. But you do, along with, I mean, the issue is that, a lot of food is really unhealthy. And it's damaging your body. It's literally causing, what was it, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease that leads to overweight and diabetes and so on. And cardiovascular disease and all that. So, I mean, we're already doing something that entrusts, a lot of corporations and government and others, which is damaging. And to many of us, we're even aware of it and we still do it. So I don't see what's wrong with trusting nanobots that are supposed to be designed to improve your health and well-being. I think that's much safer decision, much more expensive would be at the start. We just gotta wait for economies of scale for, the next 20, 30 years when it first comes up for more commercial uses. Which goes the same for gene editing, but it's being much more fast-paced, I think. I hope I could contribute some way to improve the normalization of genetic editing as well. It's just the future. It's gonna make things so much better because we'll be able to control a lot more. Yeah. So yeah. And then because it's micro, I think there'll be other stuff that could help with body augmentation. I'm not sure really, but yeah. But I actually do have another prediction that also relates to cyberpunk-esque future, but this is more on a social philosophical scale. It's the what was it called? Homo contentus. Yeah, I wrote an essay on that for media philosophy. I think I said I want to talk about it another time, but yeah, that will be further into the future. But the general idea of Homo contentus is that we're moving towards like I know I talk about like there's no linear zeitgeist, but if you want to kind of extrapolate society into a linear zeitgeist, what you can kind of see is how we're moving towards more and more into a virtual world where eventually I think our whole like being will be existing in the digital space, the virtual space. To be fair, my perspective is on a micro scale, and not to mention it's what do you call it? It's micro scale. It's like digital technology is very recent, so but that's the trend I see. I do have like a whole essay written on it, so maybe I want to talk about it in the future. But even that, ultimately, what you see is manipulation, right? It's straying. Everything that we do is trying to control more and more and more, and basically straying away further from natural selection. Even our because of our longevity, we experience diseases that cannot be naturally selected. A lot of chronic diseases, or that because a lot of chronic diseases manifest after you produce offspring. So at that point, natural selection doesn't really do much for you. But anyways, the whole idea is we're straying further and further away from natural selection. And what more can you do from straying away from natural selection by literally not even having a physical body, being in a virtual space? That's it just makes sense to me. But this journal isn't about Homo contentus as much, although it is on the same theme of straying away from natural selection, and our next step is body augmentation on a microscopic level. That could obviously physically manifests, like stronger muscle, or I don't know, better. Oh, better health is not really a physical manifestation. But athleticism, oh, Olympic sports, that's gonna be interesting. Um, but we'll see. Yeah, cause like people can do like you have no doping, no, it has to be natural. But then everyone around the athletes is gonna have augmentations that improve their athleticism. So, like, Olympics might not make as much sense. Or maybe it becomes a celebration of natural body. It becomes this whole. The purpose becomes something different, of being wowed by how much the body was capable. Well, everyone has, like, crazy abs. Although, I think that's more sci-fi. I don't think everyone's gonna have crazy abs. Um, if everyone has muscle, because like we can't completely stray away from like natural sexual selection, and whatnot. If everyone has muscles, maybe it stops becoming special, so no one really cares for it. I'm not sure. Or maybe it's too idealistic to believe gene editing will improve a muscle build that easily. I don't know. But to conclude my point, Longan, I forgot the name of the fruit already. I keep thinking Logang from Logan Paul, and I don't like it, but that fruit is pretty cool. I really like it. Um, I'll be honest, I think lychee is still better, but it has an it has a kind of a musky flavor as well. It's interesting. It's like if lychee was like an lychee doesn't taste like an apple, but lychee seems like more mainstream, right? This fruit is like that less mainstream pear, which the shell looks like a pear and it tastes kind of like a pear. But more importantly, what I wanted to talk about was my prediction for the future, the cyberpunk future of body augmentation that's going to be on a micro scale through at least genetic editing um, and nano robots. That's it. Boom.